So I talked a little bit about Giannis's comments about walking away in 2020 and speaking to where Zion is. And you, both of you, think Zion's more physical than mental, but Giannis talked about this in 2020. I was ready to walk away from the game. I had that conversation, yes, with the front office. Everybody, no matter where I am, everybody's watching me. I don't think I have the time to turn it off, be myself, kind of just be me. As much as people say I'm handling it well, because that's my personality, it's hard. It's not easy. I gave it a chance. I started talking with someone. Somebody helped put me in a place again to appreciate all of the things that I have that comes with being who I am, to be okay with myself. I feel like a lot of people deal with it, but they're not willing to talk about it. They're not willing to improve because the stigma behind it's behind it. I talked to Kevin Love and told him how he inspired me to open up and help me to kind of better myself, where he was literally tearing up when I was telling him that. He never imagined he would be the one to kind of help me figure out a way to cope with all of this. All right, I got a few comments for this, and then I'm gonna let you two respond. I think that in our I want what I want, how I want, when I want society, we're gonna continue to create people who operate this way. The hey, I want to play basketball in the NBA, make a shitload of money doing it, get my own shoe, be beloved, but at the same time, I want to feel like a regular person. Well, part of feeling like a regular person is not signing $250 million contracts. You know, we 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 don't even sign $250 million contracts. Most of us, So you get compensated for what you lose in your mental health. Just like jobs that are super risky, you go work on an oil rig in Texas, you get compensated handsomely for that. So when you come and you say, "Hey, you're the Little Mermaid and you want to be part of that world," here's what you do: give some of that money back. Oh, you know what, dog? You're 6'11". You're 7 feet tall. You're gonna stick out in every room that you come into, and you're a top 1-2% athlete walking the face of this earth. Professional sports is what your body is geared for. So if you want to get the most out of your life, this is probably the direction that you have to go. And guess what? It works out that you get paid a shitload of money for doing it, and you're damn good at it. Now, I'm saying all of this to say, not to dismiss anything that Giannis is going through. And I'm great that Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan put out what they're going through to the world. So other NBA players, macho men, alpha males could reach out to those guys or just reach out to whoever they needed to get the help that they need. And we see it with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has a very small group. He couldn't do much because he's so famous. But what I ask for those people in these situations, especially the basketball players, because they stick out, is what's your alternative? There is a yin that comes with every yang. There's a good that comes with every bad. Yes, you can go work minimum wage at name that place, and guess what? Instead of a shoe being named after you, you're only getting one pair of shoes per year. You know what I mean? Like you're stocking that shoe that could be your shoe. No, you're stocking it, not it being sent to you. So what's important to you? And I know I come off as insensitive, but I really get tired of rich people, especially rich people who came from nothing, who have afforded themselves, their families, generational wealth, uh, opportunities beyond the eyes can see. First name relationship with billionaires will eventually be a billionaire, and the doors that opens, and you want to talk to me about, hey man, I don't know if I'm cut for this. Well, fucking walk away. Fucking walk away. I know Diddy said more money, more problems, and I believe that. And I believe that we all should probably have a good therapist on standby because we got problems that we don't know how to deal with and cope with. But when you come to me with your white collar problems, when you come to me with your first world problems, and but then you want to be an advocate for police violence in Milwaukee, you want to say, "Hey, I'm here to stand to help poor people out." Well, part of helping poor people out is not bitching about the spoils of being rich and famous. Sometimes these rich people just need to shut the fuck up and say, guess what? Part of being the best player in the NBA is people talk shit about me all the time. But I go home with a fat wad of money that these motherfuckers would never, ever think about seeing in their life. I could pay off. I pay more in taxes than you will accumulate in debt in your entire being. You remember LeBron in 2011 when he was pretty much like, hey, man, y'all going to go back to y'all shitty ass life and I'm still going to be LeBron James? More people need to take that mentality. So kudos to LeBron. Kudos to Kobe. Kudos to MJ. Kudos to these famous people who are larger than life, who have found a way to find normalcy within their life. Hey, Giannis, maybe you pull up to AAU. Maybe you need to have, when your kids get older, pull up to AAU tournaments like LeBron did, like D Wade does. Go around normal people and just say, fuck it. They're going to get on my nerves. They're going to be in my space, but I'm going to do this to make myself more available so I don't feel so isolated. I mean, he got his brothers on his team because them niggas would not be anybody's roster if he wasn't so far. But yo, just stop throwing it in our faces that you going through it. Because even though you're going through it and you deserve to get the help, you deserve to get help, you have problems that I'll never understand. You're winning at life, bro. We don't care. We don't care.
I've got 3 different quotes for it. And I'll start with the first. With great power comes great responsibility, right? That's a Spider-Man quote. To whom much is given, much is tested. Kanye West quote. To whom much is given, much is required. Quote from the Bible. This to me is just a part of what it is that comes with the territory of it. And considering that this was news that comes out in 2023, but he talks about something that was 3 years ago, I also can look at this from a different angle, just in a sense of, okay, we've got, at the time, even in 2020, you had COVID hitting. So that could have maybe even had, I don't know, especially because they had to go into the bubble and stuff. Paul George had talked about it when that happened, like, nah, this isn't it. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it, considering he's talking about this 3 years later. And we all know what 2020 was. So it's like, did that have anything to influence it? And even more so now, it's easier to come out and talk about today because you're either past it or you've worked so much on it to where it's not as big a deal to you anymore. And then if you look at him professionally, he was on top of the world because he had won his second MVP, right? He had won back-to-back. Am I right? He won 19 and 20, but he also got bounced out of the playoffs by the Miami Heat 2 straight years. And so naturally there were more talking heads about, oh, I don't think this guy can win the big one. And then he falls into that aspect of it. You're this great young player that just can't seem to get past this hump in your career at that point. But then the very next year, you win the NBA title, right? Finals MVP. Winning is fun. Winning is fun. Losing is never fun. And I think that could have been maybe parts of it. It could have just been a perfect storm of, like I said, 2020 being the COVID year, you losing back-to-back to the same team and kind of getting embarrassed in both series. You guys winning all these games and it seemed like everything's set up. I think that just a lot of that could have came with it. But like I said, with those first 3 quotes, because Lee, I'm not sure if you'd even got to hear them, but basically with great power comes great responsibility. That's a Spider-Man quote. To whom much is given, much is tested. That's a Kanye West quote. To whom much is given, much is required is a Bible quote. So it's like, I think that these are things that probably came into play for him. But certainly I just look at that considering it's 3 years later and him coming back out and being able to talk about it today as opposed to then. But the bubble, I just feel like there's a lot of different things that kind of maybe could have came into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things to hit on. First, and get a rest, I guess, until he gets the message, just to finish that bar off. And then I think first off, you're right. Giannis was at a point in his career that I think Jokic and Embiid are at right now, where it's like You got hardware, you got all-star chips, you got a shoe, you got you're famous, you got a lot of stats, but now where are the rings? Because we don't respect you until you reach that final level. And I think he was at that point where it's like MVP's cool, 30-7, cool. You're famous, awesome, but you haven't done anything that's made you worth anything in this game. And I think that's probably the most frustrating point of a career that you can be at as an NBA player, because it's like you're amazing, but you're not there's a next level after amazing. And I think he was at that point. And I think we'll probably see that with those other two guys this year. It's a really frustrating thing because it's like you're amazing, like you're so good at your skill, like you're so good at basketball, but like certain things haven't dropped your way. And I'm sure maybe from the front office to Bud's lack of adjustments in the playoffs to teammates, things that are out of your control make it even more frustrating. So I think that's one thing. I think two, getting to what Adam, what you were saying before you dropped off. I think in like before before I was alive, before I was a sports fan, whether you go 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, we looked at athletes as we do on like 2K. Like you're entertainment. You're not a person. Like get back in the fucking game. Like you're not hurt. Like you pansy, get back in there. And I think now the pendulum has swung too far in the other direction, where now athletes um, are definitely like it's good that you have a voice, but right, like we don't want to hear your issues when you make $40 million a year. It's kind of like you have to play both sides, because at on one hand, Twitter must suck to go on as an athlete. Everyone's like a couch GM. Everyone thinks they know what they should do. You miss 2 free throws, you're going to hear about it online. Opposing fans screaming terrible things at you. The pressure of being on TV every night, whether it's performing or just having a fresh leg walking to the game. There's pressure on everything you do. Not being able to walk the streets normally, that all stinks. But then at the same time, you have all the money and the resources to kind of compensate for that. So like it basically, like you said, is trading your mental health for a fortune and generational wealth. So I think as fans, we also have to do a good job of balancing that as like, listen, like these are people, these are absolutely people, but like, don't whine. Please don't whine. It's very like, it's not easy to listen to rich people whine. What is I do all my crying in a Bugatti or something like that. Like that's fine, but just, we don't want to hear about it. So I think it's an important balance that you have to have as an athlete, and I think it's an important lens we have to look at it as a fan, because like obviously you're going to have mental health issues, and you can talk about it and be open about it, but when it crosses that line to complaining is when it turns everybody off.
Yeah, and I think, Sean, these are some of our best conversations that you and I have privately, is because you got that Philly fan in you, you know, and we'll talk about, when players get fans tossed and stuff like that. And I agree with you. Like, I don't think players should get fans tossed for much.
No.
There's a difference between me saying, hey, Kyrie, you effing suck, and me saying, hey, Kyrie, F you, you effing N-word, right?
Sure.
Both are meant to disrespect you and piss you off during a game. One, all right, dog, got it. I suck. No one believes that. I average 27 a game. You just don't like me. Second one is, dog, I really beat your ass over this. You know what? If you said this in any environment, it's not acceptable. You got to go, right? So I think that line between kick out disrespect and hey, I'm in your head disrespect is now getting great. Like Brad Bill confronting a fan who's like, fuck you, I lost my parlay because of you. If I'm Brad Bill, I say, hey, bro, fuck your parlay. I still got paid. You know what I mean? And kept it moving, because Bradley Bill has stole money from the NBA. Stole money. But you know what? It was given to him, so I can't be mad at him. But real quick before we close this hour out, Paul Pierce is on his media run, finally, for the first time from being let go by ESPN and ABC. And Paul Pierce is so delusional. He thought he got let go because of